What is the first piece of advice that you can give people as we start to deal with this aftermath? Are more insurance companies leaving California? Like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah. And I would say everything changed a couple of years ago.
Yes.
State Farm left, Allstate left, Liberty Mutual.
So we're not in good hands is what you're saying?
No, not anymore. But if they get referred to somebody who knows what they're doing
Immediately
and can track something down, at least give them peace of mind and say, we'll take it out to the carriers that we have,
Right.
Which may not be a name brand company.
Right.
It's not going to be a company that they really know the name of.
Okay.
I'm a Farmers agent, so we still have Farmers. Farmers never left California. AAA never left California, but
Thank
they've all
God.
tightened,
Everything
really
that they're doing, yeah.
where they will insure, and then sometimes you got to have certain systems in your house, like water monitoring devices.
Oh, wow. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Behind the Lockbox. I'm Stephanie Zalowski, and today I have two very special guests with me. First, we have Pete Williams with Farmers Insurance.
Woo!
And then, you just heard her voice, Heather Daum with the agency.
Hello, everybody.
And we just became best friends.
That's right.
Okay, before we get started, this episode is going to be a little bit different. As everybody is aware, we've had some pretty crazy wildfires here in California, specifically up in the LA area. And the first thing that we all want to say is that our hearts and prayers and thoughts and everything that we can do go out to everybody in LA who's been affected by these wildfires. And I've said this many times on social media, but I haven't said it yet on the podcast. If you or anyone you know has been displaced and you need them to come down to San Diego, we are a free resource. Both Heather and I are agents. Pete does insurance. Please use us as a free resource, meaning we can get you the help that you need. If you need a house, a rental, whatever it is, if you need someone to help you with your insurance, I don't know what it is, but if you need something, please reach out to us. We are here. We love you all, and we are sending all of our love to you. So with that, we're going to kind of get into this. Pete is my go-to guru with Farmers Insurance. And due to the unforeseen circumstances that we've been going through, we wanted to do an episode a little bit about kind of what people can expect. We talked when they walked in and I was like, how are we going to do this? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, it's just gonna be off the cuff. So I'm going to kind of ask some questions and we're going to go from there, because I think that there are a lot of questions. I think that there's a lot people don't know. I think people are concerned. Is insurance, we talked about this a little bit at our mastermind group the other day, is insurance going to be canceled? I mean, a lot of insurance companies have been leaving. So with that, let's get started. Pete, Heather, welcome to Behind the Lockbox.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
What I think, is there anywhere you want to start, or do you want me to ask a question? Then we can kind of go from there. May I ask a question?
Yeah, I think you should ask. Yeah.
So what can we expect going forward? Because, and I know that that's a heavy-handed question, but I think as even, I have 3 listings coming on, buyers are going to be coming in, and the first thing they're going to say is, I even called you actually on my teardown that I have coming to market in Del Mar. I said, these guys have put on their RPA, on their purchase agreement, like, hey, we're just going to do 5 days. And I said, is that even doable? And you said yes, because it was a different kind of insurance policy. But for the average buyer that's coming in, for a long time, it's already been the second that you get into contract, you need to start looking for insurance, right? So, and we recently had a deal of mine that was a listing where the buy side took too long, and we were basically like about to give them a notice to perform because they were shopping, and it's just a disaster. So what is the first piece of advice that you can give people as we start to deal with this aftermath? Are more insurance companies leaving California? Like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah. And I think insurance was always one of those things where you wait till like 20 minutes before closing.
Right.
And
Which we've been preaching. You've been preaching for years now for us to get it immediately, which I do, but not everyone listens. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say everything changed a couple of years ago.
Yes.
State Farm left, Allstate left, Liberty Mutual.
So we're not in good hands is what you're saying?
No, not anymore. USAA. So all those companies in 2023, they basically just said, we're done with California. And the main reason, most people think it's because of fire, but it's actually because they couldn't get the pricing that they needed to get.
Follow the money trail, people. It's always, that's where it goes. Yeah.
So the Department of Insurance basically has so much regulation over the insurance companies that anytime they wanted to take a rate increase, they would have to hire attorneys. They'd pay millions of dollars. They'd have to open up their books, and it would take sometimes 1.5 years, potentially 2 years for them to even get a price increase where they needed to really have their premiums at. And so a lot of these companies, they just said, you've restricted us from taking rate increases for many years. And so finally we're done with California because we can't be profitable here. And so, but you see on the newspaper articles and, on TV and, radio, that it's because of the fires, the fire danger. But really it's because they can't get the pricing. And really, the insurance companies are a business.
Of course.
If they can't turn a profit, then they're
Yep.
not going to do business in those locations where they can't. So basically they're just focused on other states now. And basically, and California is a massive market. There's 14.7 million homes.
Which
here.
my question was to you the other day, how is this even legal? But it's free market. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they can come and they can leave the state, come back into the state, what
Right.
have you. But yeah, so they're just basically saying
We're
we
done.
can't be profitable. We're done. Yeah.
So can people get homeowners insurance right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So,
Okay.
but if you call State Farm, and this is why, I'm preaching to a lot of real estate agents and loan officers, because the theme used to be call your insurance company that does your auto and they'll be able to get home insurance.
Where it's like
Now-
just bundle everything, right? But
Right.
we're not in that situation anymore here in California.
So, and that's why I tell, especially real estate agents, if you don't want to lose the deal, refer them, doesn't have to be us, but refer them to somebody who knows what they're doing with insurance. Because if your buyer calls State Farm, then they call Allstate, then they call USAA, then they call Liberty Mutual, then they call Travelers, they're going to get turned down 5 or 6 times. And they're going to go, no one will insure me.
I can't get insurance. Like, I guess we have to back. And
Yeah.
it's like, no. Yeah.
So let's just
Yeah.
not go through with the purchase.
Right.
But if they get referred to somebody who knows what they're doing
Immediately.
and can track something down, at least give them peace of mind and say, we'll take it out to the carriers that we have,
Right.
Which may not be a name brand company.
Right.
It's not going to be a company that they really know the name of.
Okay.
I'm a Farmers agent, so we still have Farmers. Farmers never left California. AAA never left California, but
Thank
they've all
God.
tightened,
Everything
really
that they're doing. Yeah.
where they will insure. And then sometimes you got to have certain systems in your house, like water monitoring devices.
Oh,
And,
wow.
whole house water monitoring.
Well, and sure,
you gotta have.
if it's a high fire zone, like there's so many high fire zones here in California in general, but San Diego too. Like, we have a lot of houses that back up to canyons. Like the house I sold a couple, like middle of last year or whatever, with the girls that
Panorama?
moved in.
Yeah.
No, it was Mountain View.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they actually, her trust ended up wanting to actually up, and you're like, you don't need this much, but okay. But like that house backed up to a canyon. So even now, anything Rancho Santa Fe, like, there's a lot of places that it could happen any moment,
Yeah. Companies are requiring people to get fire alarms and burglar alarms. And biggest one that we're seeing
To
recently
be honest,
is
everybody should have.
automatic gas shutoff valves. So if there's an earthquake, your gas shuts off so your house doesn't burn down. Because
wow.
if there's an
I'm
earthquake,
fine having that.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know
know,
about
that sounds
you.
great.
Yeah.
yeah, plumbers charge a lot for that.
Yeah.
I've seen anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500, but insurance companies want to see that because it might mean they don't pay out on a claim
Right.
like $3 to $5 million or so
Right.
because the house doesn't actually burn down. So,
Right.
So the insurance companies that are still here in California, they're taking measures basically to make sure that they don't have to pay out on claims that they shouldn't have to pay on. So
Okay.
they're putting some responsibility back on the homeowners.
Okay.
To get certain systems in place to better protect their home.
Okay.
Which is then, and sometimes they're requiring high deductibles as well. So you're not
Yeah.
filing a little frivolous, $5,000 claim.
Right.
It's got to be something pretty big. So,
And question on that for the systems, like just for any agent out there who's listening, or even like to prepare clients and homeowners, when we get into escrow, for example, okay, and I have a buyer and I bring them to you and you're like, hey, we found you a claim, but look, we need a gas shutoff, we need smoke alarms, we need a burglar, we need all this stuff. Does that have to be done prior to the close of escrow, or can it be done after, and that's when the inspection period kicks in, like we've talked about?
yeah, it's all done after.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I don't think the sellers would be okay with a plumber coming in and cutting pipes on a house that they
Typically
still own.
not, but
Yeah.
like, look, what if you were like, so the law changed, now you have to allow this, like whatever, right? So that's good. So it's done after, and then there is inspections that take place.
Yeah, most companies will do an inspection within the first 30 days.
Yep, okay.
That's when they always want to do them. And then
Okay.
they usually will give you about 30 to 45 days to get all those systems in place.
Retrofitted, yeah.
Provide the documentation.
Okay.
And, we send it to underwriting, and
Okay.
then there's no problems.
Right. Okay.
That's how it's supposed to work.
Okay. And there was another thing. I did a reel on Instagram the other night, and we were texting. And a lot of people, first of all, let me just say this. If your home is not in a trust, it needs to be in a trust. Do you agree?
Yes.
If it is in a will and someone dies and there is any dispute over anything, you're going to probate, and you are not going to sell that sucker for a long time. That is a whole nother ballgame. So what the other thing that we have found that's been happening in this aftermath of the fires is that people had something in a trust, but they just took out insurance policies in their name because maybe that's how it closed. And then they end up, oh crap, we need to put it in a trust.
Yeah.
They put the house in a trust, and then the insurance policy is not in the trust. It's in Stephanie Zalowski instead of Shores LLC trust or whatever it is. Right. And so that's a problem, right? So you need to make sure that however you have taken name in your house, if you did move it to a trust, everything then needs to be in that name as well, because they could question coverage at that point, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I've never
anything could happen.
I've never seen an insurance company question that.
Okay.
I was going to say, if you're the trustee of the trust, that should still prevail.
I think so
something.
too.
But that's a good point to bring up.
But I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
It feels like with all these billions and, trillions that they're going to be paying out on this, like it feels like they could find any loophole to be like, hey, this doesn't match. Or what if like it's two sisters that own it and only one's a trustee and the other one's trying to fight and the other one's not in the country. It's like I could just see where this could be an issue, right? So hot tip, just A, your home should be in a trust, and B, just make sure everything matches that name.
We usually add the trust as additional insured.
Perfect.
That way
smart.
it's listed on there.
Good. Okay. So when, as you said, we're okay. We're going to get coverage, but it's taking longer. What is the time frame that everything is taking right now?
Bigger the house, the longer it takes.
Okay.
So like these houses in Rancho that are 6,000 to 10,000 square
Here
feet.
in La Jolla, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Houses in La Jolla that are 6,000 to 10,000 square feet. I would say we're at 7 to 10, sometimes business days.
Okay. That's better than I was
I always
thinking.
tell people, give me about 7 to 10 days.
Okay. Which is why you need to make sure
Start it right away.
you tell your agent or agents listening the day you open escrow, call Pete immediately.
Smaller house. We just had one yesterday in La Jolla that was referred to us. It's 2,500 square feet. I had that, same day.
Okay, good.
Over to me.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So the smaller the house, the more companies will entertain it.
Okay.
Bigger the house, the fewer options
Well, of course, and depending on where it's located, right? If it's a big ass estate in Rancho Santa Fe, it's going to be a little bit. So make sure you, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
I would say max time is about 10 business days, which is, essentially 2 weeks. And sometimes that's the contingency period as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is that, we're still in a competitive market, right? Even though all the stats and all the numbers have come out this month, and last year was the worst market in 30 years that we've seen. And we know a lot of agents didn't even close any deals. But I luckily did not experience that. But I mean, I experienced a hard market, don't get me wrong, but I was still at least making things happen, right? However, what we are still seeing is that unfortunately, sellers are still in this COVID era mindset where they think their house might be worth a little bit more than it is, or they start a little higher because they've just seen these prices go up. Maybe it is worth that, right? But things are sitting on the market longer. I think the last time I looked at the MLS, I think the average was 55 days or something like that. Again, depends on the price point, the market, like, where you're located, whatever, the micro market. But agents too are still kind of in this place where they want contingencies removed quickly. Like we've gotten so used to that. So like the 17 days, don't you agree? Like unless a house has been sitting for a really, really long time, when was the last time you put 17 days on a contingency?
I know. Well, I don't even think I really ever have.
I don't think I ever have either. Like, unless, I mean, again, it was something that was so far out, or, the
special
buyer was
situations.
like, or they were doing a 1031 and they're like, look, we can't close for 60 days. Take your time. And you're like, cool. That's the point though, is that if you're doing, I always like pretty much all of my offers, I am writing in like a 10 to 12 max for full contingency, sometimes 14-day of loan if they're getting a loan, right?
Yeah.
I have a lender who can absolutely get shit done for me in 14 days. He's amazing. Scott Schwartz, we love you. And so, it's one of those things that like, if you have a 5-day or a 7-day, and like now on the new contracts, there's a spot for the insurance where you're putting in and it defaults to 17 days. So if they're like, oh no, you got to remove that all in 10 days and it's a big house, that could be a problem. So you just need to be aware as a buyer and an agent that like you need to kind of pay attention to these things as you go, know the contract and figure out, like I've even called you so many times like, hey, I'm writing an offer. How long do you think this is going to take? Or is this doable? Or is this even insurable? Or whatever the case may be, right? Because me knowing that ahead of time, I can then tell my client, this is what we're up against,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and then go from there.
Well, and vice versa too. If you are the listing agent, then you have all these offers. You
Yes.
can then talk to the buyer's agent, see if they're privy to everything.
Well, and I've done it with you where I'm like, I have this listing coming up. I was like, what is the deal with insurance? Because I need to know so that when I'm countering them, I'm not putting the buyer and the buyer agent in a bad situation. And if they come to me and say, an investor for what? No, I need 17 days. I'm like, no, you actually don't. You can call Pete, he can get it done for you in 5. You know what I mean? So like, and also there are many agents that have come into my listings that have been like, this is up against a canyon. I don't know if I can get insurance. And I'm like, oh no, trust me. I already talked to Pete. You can, right? Like, I mean, we need to kind of know these things. So it doesn't matter what side you're on. You should know where you're at in terms of getting insurance.
And I would say most of the agents that we work with are very good about that. When they take a listing, they reach out.
Yep.
But I will say, just to set the record straight, for those listing agents, I can't provide a proposal until we know who the buyers are.
Yes.
Because a lot of it is based on prior claims.
Sure.
Sometimes there's discounts for certain occupations they have. Certain age groups get a different
Right.
discount.
Senior discount, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so, they always go, how much is the insurance?
Is there a
gonna be
discount
on
for a
this?
40-year-old? No.
yeah, I know. Yeah. Dang
Sorry.
it. Unmarried.
Not military, unmarried, no kids. I have no dependents. I can't. This sucks.
I mean, I
can't
count
even-
my 2 dogs and my horse as dependents.
Oh, you have a horse.
I do.
too.
Giddy
Oh
up,
my
girl.
God. I want to come.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
That's actually
great.
a surcharge. Sorry.
They're like, that's a
Yeah.
liability.
Yeah.
Sorry, Heather.
Not
no.
gonna happen.
No.
We're just going to deny it all.
Yeah. Denied.
So anyway,
red.
we get so many calls from agents
Yeah.
and they go, how much is this going to cost?
I don't know.
I don't know till we have the buyer.
Right.
But I can at least tell you, hey, this is in a fire zone. This is not in a fire zone. And then I guess we'll set another
How big
record
is the
straight.
house? And I can say, hey, I can get this to you done in probably 7 days. So as soon as you get that buyer, remind the buyer agent to come, whatever.
Or less.
Yeah, or less.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
depending.
So-
Yeah, you are, I mean, we've been up against you and I, a few of them, and you always come through.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, I'm like, you don't have to go anywhere but Pete. Yeah.
Well, we
He's the
appreciate it.
man,
Yeah.
you know?
He is the man. I know. So, question for you. For LA, what are they up against? I mean, in terms of claims and time, and we can get into this a little bit. Look, we typically don't get political on this podcast, and I'm not going to here, except to say, I come from a family of firefighters, and from everything I've seen and heard, this could have been prevented, or if it wasn't preventable, if it was arson or whatever, because Santa Ana's we cannot prevent. Okay, we can't, and all the dry brush, but that could have been mitigated, right? The reservoir that was empty, how many gallons was it empty?
117 million.
Right. Okay. So unacceptable. Fire hydrants were run dry, and funding was cut to firefighters. And again, my cousin for years was a hotshot wildland firefighter. He now does structure fire. So I'm very well versed in what they need. I'm also a little concerned about the PPE that was not provided because this is a toxic area that they were fighting fires in. Like, all these things very much upset me because my grandfather is a retired fire chief and inspector. My cousin is still in it. You know, what do you have to say about that?
I think you hit a lot of things for sure.
Yeah. It's upsetting.
Yeah, what I would say is the firefighters, they worked with what they had.
They're
they did a
heroes.
great job. Yeah, they did
The
an amazing
things
job.
I have spent days, nights on Instagram doom scrolling and crying because of people go back to their home and they're in masks. I'm going to cry right now. And a firefighter was able to jimmy open a safe, and her heirloom jewelry was safe because it was in a fireproof safe. Some of it was a little bit smoke, by the way, fireproof safes does not mean that it can't get destroyed, like depending on the safe. So like everyone be aware of that. But like, these men who put their lives on the line, and I know because my cousin does it and he did it for a living, and he was on the fire where the 19 died in Arizona. And I still have not watched that movie. I can't bring myself to do it. Like, I'm getting emotional now. Like it is, they put their lives on the line to save people's houses and to save these families. And it's just upsetting. All of it is really upsetting. That's it.
Yeah. And I would say, I mean, a lot of them, there's no water, and they're going, how can we put this fire out? And then they're going into the houses and, saving
whatever they can for these people. And people did die. I mean, there was a story of a man who,
The guy in Malibu?
yes,
Yeah,
his son that
I
he
know.
couldn't get out, and they perished. And it's a lot.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And fire is one of the things that scares me the most.
Absolutely.
And when the fire broke out here off Gilman, they took action. FD, I love you. They took, I mean, there was like 20 trucks on that fire. And then at the same time, the border fire broke out. So then they had to take the helicopter down to the border fire. And there were evacuations coming down the hill here. My block and 2 blocks behind me were the only ones that were not prepping to evacuate yet. But I could smell the smoke from inside the house. And if Malibu and Palisades and Maui have taught us nothing, it jump lines and it jumps quick. And again, I come from a family of firefighters, so I know how fire moves and it is terrifying. And if the wind changes a little bit and you don't have, we don't have control of that, right? If anyone, I had a couple people that were like, oh, it wouldn't have come down to you. I'm sorry. Did you not just see what happened in Malibu? Like houses were burning on the beach.
Right. And how can you say that?
You can't say that. I mean, that's the most asinine comment. Like it will absolutely, and it could. And so Gwen was at the groomer in the village and I literally had to go get her and come back. And I started pulling documents out and my neighbors and we packed bags. And once I started doing that, they actually stopped the forward movement and they lifted evacuations for the 2nd tier. And so I was in 3rd tier and we did not get evacuated, but like, that was close enough. I was like, I don't need to see anymore, you know? And so it's just been a lot. January can go now.
Yeah, I know.
This is like January 74th.
One more day.
One more day. I'm so ready for February.
Behind the Lockbox is sponsored by Property Showcase Group. Property Showcase Group has a team of creatives, directors, producers, editors, marketing specialists, and designers that work in tandem to tell and share stories of the built environment. Whether you're looking for full-service production or simply just need content creation, Property Showcase Group can help take your business to the next level. To learn more or to contact Property Showcase Group to schedule a consultation, you can find them at propertyshowcasegroup.com. That's spelled PROPERTYSHOWCASEGROUP.com. PropertyShowcaseGroup.com. I'm back to talk about our sponsor and producer, Property Showcase Group. This is for all my agent and affiliate friends out there. Property Showcase Group has a special offer for you. The first 3 agents to email Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com will get 1 month free of social media management using code LOCKBOX. That's right, 1 month free. And they're offering 20% off your first video production using code LOCKBOX. For more information, contact Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com and don't forget to use code LOCKBOX or mention this podcast.
But like, you know, I'm still surprisingly upbeat too. Like, you know, I'm like, it's great. Everything's fine. I'm fine.
Right.
But I think that we need to learn from this. And I think
I do too. There was, interestingly enough, some meme on Instagram that said, you know, it's always somebody else until the meme is about you, until the video is about you in your house. And it does feel so, you know, far away until it actually is in your backyard.
Because everybody says, like when it happened in Maui and like the news cycle shifts so quick, right? Like I actually said to somebody last night, we did an event that Foundation Escrow put on, Realtors Rally for LA, and we raised a ton of money last night. And we had so much fun, but it was like still heavy, right? Because and all of that money is going to the firefighters and their families and everything they need, because there have been firefighters injured. And like, again, they're putting their lives on the line and they are the heroes. And it was, you know, everyone says like it won't happen here, but I think what shifted for me, everything shifted for me when COVID hit. Like I have always thought, I've been that girl my whole, like America, that doesn't happen here, right? I've never said it out loud or thought it, but in the back of your mind, you subconsciously think that just doesn't happen here. It happens in other countries or third world countries or whatever the situation is, right? Like tsunamis, we don't get that here. Like whatever, right? Like we're just in this little bubble, right? And then COVID hit and I was like, so it can happen here. Like, and that was just something that was like, when the world shut down, I was like, how are we letting this happen? You know what I mean? And so if people think that like it can't, it can. And so we just need to band together. And, you know, I've seen other stuff.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think we need to be prepared. Like that's just like number one.
Yes.
Because, you know, again, like it happened so quickly. And just like when the Gilman fire happened, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. We have to go. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, of course this is coming here.
And remember, we had just talked about you getting a raft and
Yeah.
taking your dogs out to
That
the
was my
ocean.
plan.
My neighbors and I said that. So do you live here? Do you live?
Yeah, I'm over at Wind and Sea. I'm literally at the beach.
So my neighbors and I were standing
So I
outside
have
talking.
one
and
way to go.
We were letting the dogs play outside, and everything had been contained, and we were okay. But we were all just still jittery and kind of reeling, right? And it was still very windy. Like the winds had not died down. And I looked at them and I was like, "Well, we ain't going up,
Right?
and
We're going
we
out.
could go into the village, but like." We should actually have life vests for the dogs. We all have paddle boards, and we will be floating because where I live, the beach here is very, very wide and big. And I was like, well, just that's where I would go.
That was my evacuation plan. I'll see you out there.
Like, I'll see you out there. We'll be floating out there with our dogs because I'm not going up.
No,
and I'm not going
and
in.
The reality is too, like the roads coming in and out of La Jolla are.
The day that I picked up Gwen from the groomer, it was like, I don't know what was happening, but like I had never seen traffic. And I was like, why is everyone going toward what the, so I was able to turn on Princess right here and come in through my neighborhood. And I got back home pretty quickly. But I called my neighbor and I was like, if I get stuck in this and you have to go in, documents are there, I guess just grab that and go. Like, there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, what else am I going to do? But thank you for saying the preparedness thing, because I will put in the show notes for everybody and on YouTube. I found some really cool resources on Instagram, and it gave like, if you have 2 hours to evacuate, here's what you grab. If you have 1 hour, here's what you grab. If you have 30 minutes, if you have 5 minutes, like, and it gave those. So we're going to put that all in the show notes just so everybody has that. And we'll put that on YouTube and on Apple and Spotify. So
nice.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a little heavier of an episode.
Do you want to get further into LA or no?
Oh yeah, go for it, please.
Pete is dying to get in.
He said to me,
he's like, did you say politics?
Yeah, he's like, how deep can we go? And I was like, well, I try to stay neutral, but you can say whatever you want. Okay, hit me with it. What you got? What do you want to say?
I'll just hit you with some stats. So
please.
Before 1800 in California. So
you memorized all these? This is impressive.
I just know it.
Okay.
There's about 100 million acres in California. And naturally, about 3 to 5 million would burn per year.
Okay.
Just, lightning and
in the 1800s.
Before 1800s and before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we settled in California. So for about 218 years, so 1800 to 2018, about an average of 250,000 acres burned per year.
Okay.
Because, we've colonized it. We're doing forest management. We're making sure that cities don't burn down. And, we're actually taking care of,
things.
The land, let's say.
Right.
Then what happened in 2018? Newsom takes over. Okay.
That name is not allowed on this podcast.
Oh, well, anyway.
Just kidding.
So
it rhymes with Snoosium.
There's a guy up in Sacramento.
Yeah.
His name rhymes with Schmoosum.
Yeah. So he takes over.
Yeah.
And that year, 2 million acres burned down because he stops forest management. We can't burn grasses. We can't burn bushes. We can't burn, Do you know why? He's afraid of hurting the air. Pollution, or global warming, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
That's what he's afraid of.
Okay.
Is putting.
I heard some people say too, like the voles or certain, like, there was something in Runyon that, like, did you hear about this?
No.
There was like this one plant, and a comedian, I love comedy because like it's always too soon, but like I laugh through darkness. Like that's how I operate. So I'm like, it's never too soon because you just got to laugh to keep from crying.
We are
right?
best friends. Look at this.
Oh, we really are. We're the same person. And so he was like, so let me get this straight. We didn't manage Runyon and all the brush because there was this, and it was like this weed, but it had like a purple flower, but it was like really like rare. And then there was voles or something. I don't even know what a vole is. I think that's the term. I don't really know. Mole.
Yeah,
vole,
no, they're separate. There are moles and there are
something.
voles.
Yeah, there is something. Okay.
They're cute.
They are actually cute, but they were like, we don't want to kill the voles. And I was like, he was like, the voles and this weed, can we smoke it? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is why we didn't do brush management. Like he came out and it was actually really funny, but I was like, it's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
Like there's always truth to comedy, right?
Yeah.
But it's true.
Like
Like
there's just no common sense here in California.
it is left the state.
Not to hit you with every acre that burned from 2018 to 2024, but on average, we burned about 1.9
the Paradise Fire?
million acres. Yeah, that's included.
Right.
Yes.
2018 was a big one.
Yep.
2020 was 4.4 million acres. Then you had 2.6 million the very next year. Last year was over 1 million. But on average, so if you
Has our whole state burned basically?
No. I mean, there's 100 million acres, but
How many are left? 100?
I mean, we're getting close.
when 4 or 5 million
have
burn in
100,000
1 year,
left.
there's not a lot
Yeah,
left.
there's not, right.
But on average, about 1.9 acres per year have burned since he took over. And keep in mind, on average, 250,000 burned, up till when he took over. So because we stopped all that stuff. So I guess my question to him would be, what would you rather burn, and what's better for the environment? Burning grasses, bushes, and little trees,
or structures that are toxic
and rubbers and synthetics
that are going to make people sick. If we think that people are not going to potentially get sick from all of this, you're wrong. Because, and I'm worried about the firefighters, because my cousin, who is a structure now firefighter, he was like, he also does, it's really cool. He started this mental health program because, how do I say this? Like, historically, it's like machismo, right? Like, you don't really talk about, same with a lot of military, like when you have PTSD, he has PTSD from what happened on the fire.
You're a guy, so you gotta be tough.
You would know. I don't know. Right. Exactly. And so he started this program, and he's been going around, and he's really trying to build awareness around mental health for any first responders, firefighters, military, whatever it is, because we need it, right? And the suicide rate in this country is skyrocketing, and our military is coming back and they don't have the resources, and that's a whole nother conversation. But he started all of this, and so, but he's also championing. Thank you. That happens a lot. This forward movement of like making sure, because for a number of years, which I don't know how my grandpa, he had a wall fall on him. Like, he is still with us, and he is like, it's insane. The protectant stuff that they wore had cancer causing carcinogens in it. And so now he's, so there's this new movement for firefighters and stuff for their breathing apparatus and stuff like that to make sure that it doesn't. But structure is different than wildland. So they had wildland firefighters because everybody was deployed, right? Like, you had to get help from everywhere. And he saw footage where they were not wearing the right PPE, which is very concerning, so it's not even just them. But then I saw another guy on Instagram who's a big influencer in LA, and his house burned, and he was going back, and he went out and he was like, please, if anyone hears nothing else, if you're going back to your house, please make sure you at least have an N95. But he was recommending full on breathing apparatus, like the gas mask, like everything, because the chemicals are so bad from everything that is burned.
Is that if your house burned down or if it didn't burn down?
Either one.
Okay.
Because you're still the smoke inhalation.
fumes,
and then if your neighbor's house burned and there's all that, you know what I mean? The whole air up there is toxic. Yeah. So people with, breathing issues, COPD, whatever, they should be wearing masks when they go outside. Like, I was even concerned, we're 2 hours south. Like, we're not that far. And the days that the smoke was really bad, my eyes are still even watering and stuff. Like, my allergies have been a little bit on the high lately, but it's just because the air quality has been terrible. You know what I mean? So you need, anyway, went off on a tangent. Did you want to say something else about schmoosum? Your buddy?
That could be enough. But anyway, we could get into the dams, and the water is now going to the ocean.
That reservoir, like, that's insane. Yeah.
And he's very.
Now, why do you think that was? Honestly,
he's very proud about what he did. I don't know if you saw his little dance, but
no, I didn't see the dance.
You didn't?
No,
I did not. And I don't need to.
The houses are still burning down, and he's going, "Hey, we're seeing LA 2.0 here," and he's ready to start planning LA 2.0.
Oh, wow.
And the house, or the
well, how long is that going to take? Because if Coastal
20
Commission
years.
has anything to say with it, it will be 20 years.
Yeah.
Well,
the red tape and the permitting in California is intense.
Well, and not to mention then also like all the things, that lead up to that, the soil testing and everything that you're going to have to go through. Like, all of that is going to be so
But again,
long.
how are they going to rebuild those houses on Malibu on the beach with Coastal? Like, that's the concern, is that they'll never be able to rebuild. Because think about it here. Even when we sell houses on the waterfront here, there are some that you can't even put a seawall because Coastal says no because of all the environmental stuff and it's like, but like, I don't really want this house falling into the water.
Yeah.
Right.
Del Mar Bluffs and Encinitas Bluffs are, eroding. Like, anyway.
Yeah. And this is where, not to get too conspiracy theory, but
I didn't make you your tinfoil hat.
Could have been planned. Yeah. This could have.
Talking about that. Yeah. Max, go make me a tinfoil hat really quickly. Hurry.
Could have been slightly planned, because I think you got Blackstone coming in and buying up a bunch of these properties.
Yeah.
BlackRock.
That's been talk for a while about all these companies coming in and so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. So they're basically offering like 50% of what the land is worth and saying, hey, you can get off this property now. So
Wow.
I think you're going to see a lot of multi-housing, structures out there instead of single-family homes.
That'll be interesting to see if people actually
I know.
sell and move, or if they want to rebuild.
Well, if it's going to take 4 years and you can go, hey, I can get $2 million for my lot in Pacific Palisades to get out of here.
Especially if they don't, what's going to happen is a lot of people, they don't want this to happen again. So they're going to be like, it's too much. Or listen, that's the other thing we need to touch on. And I know people have talked about this. It is not just rich people and famous people whose houses burned down.
Yeah.
Okay, look, do you have to have a certain amount of money to build on the beach of Malibu? Of course. But there were plenty of people that live in the Palisades. People just hear Palisades and that's all they think is mansions. That's not the case. And the Eaton fire, Altadena. Altadena is middle class, working class, regular people. To rebuild in California, a lot of them are not going to be able to afford it.
Right.
And I don't know what their insurance is going to be. I don't know what they're going to be paid out, if anything. I don't know. You know what I mean? And
it'll take a while. That's for sure.
Years. We're looking down the throat of years. Like it is not going to be anything anytime soon.
Yeah.
No.
We had one home that burned down in Altadena, and I looked at the overhead map, and the house, I counted how many houses had to burn before this house burned down.
Oh, man.
And her house is gone. It was 32 houses in from the canyon.
Oh my gosh.
Which
And
I would
when
have
you
said,
buy that, you're like, I'm
You're
not
never-
near the canyon.
yeah.
That
I
is
would-
3 blocks away.
oh yeah, I even if it was 5 houses, and I would have said, oh, this house is totally fine. It's never going to burn down from a wildfire because these 5 houses have to burn down before yours.
Right.
Here, 32 houses burned down.
But
before
again,
hers.
this
Wow.
is the
Crazy to
perfect
look at that.
storm of the fact that we can't control the Santa Anas, and those winds were 90 miles an hour or more.
Yeah.
And embers then fly and catch other things on fire. It's not just a game of dominoes that this whole house has to burn before this one catches. When you have wind events like that, that's when everything takes off, you know? And again, we had not had rain in, do you know that stat, how many
I think
days it was?
8 months or
Yeah.
8.5
It's been,
months.
and by the way, the rain we got, I'm so grateful for, but it was not enough. Like I was
No.
like, I thought
I know.
it was going to
It
rain
felt like a
more.
sprinkle.
It
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
down here. I think LA got a little more. In North County, I saw some people, it was definitely pouring, thank God. But yeah, it was crazy. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Pretty wild.
Conspiracy theory question. Do you think pandas are real?
Pandas?
Do you
Of course.
Do you watch Bravo?
Craig? Yes.
Craig Conover on Southern Charm. Do you watch? Of course you don't watch Bravo. Does Stephanie watch Bravo?
No.
Oh, man.
Oh, we need to get Steph on that.
Yeah.
There was an episode where he literally made a tinfoil hat. I was going to make you the same tinfoil hat. I'm so
When
mad
you
at
said
myself
that
that
at
I
Reva
forgot.
yesterday,
There's
I was
no
like, that's
pandas?
exactly.
He thinks that their dogs
Their dogs painted.
He's the
But
funniest.
I have seen that people who work at some of the zoos with pandas actually have to dress up like pandas so the pandas can accept them for giving them food and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're kind of
Panda
humans
bears are adorable,
painted.
by the way. So they're humans painted, not
Yeah.
dogs. Craig Conover, if you're listening, we love
Yeah.
you. By the way, I went
know.
to Sewing Down South when I was in
really?
Charleston.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it was really fun.
gosh.
They restored my story. It was fun. I was like,
Oh, hey,
celebrity.
love it.
Yeah. I'm very
Famous
upset that
now.
you don't know
I haven't
about
heard that
this.
one. I have
Yeah,
not
he
heard
think.
that
What else did he think?
There were so many. Gosh, I'll have to think really quick, but
Do you
It was
listen to Kristen
hilarious.
Cavallari's podcast?
no, I don't.
Oh, it's good. She's also a little bit of a conspiracy theorist,
she?
and she went on a tangent, and I was like loving it because it was so funny. But she was like talking more about Hollywood and like the Illuminati, and she's
Oh,
like, "They're
wow.
gonna come after me," and I was like,
Nice.
"Girl, be careful."
Yeah,
They
you're on
will
a
come after you. And then
platform here.
Yeah, and she was like, "Well, Kanye's back because he was gone for a while. Like, remember the photos of him? Like, that was not the Kanye. Like, they've cloned him." And I was like, "What?"
Oh,
Like,
now it's getting
oh,
cray.
shit. She went down rabbit holes, and I was like, me and Cam were listening, and Cam's like, "Have you heard her podcast?" I was like, "It's so fun." Like, I take everything with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? But like,
Do you know
I
who
love
Kristen
that stuff.
Cavallari is?
I think we should. I've never heard of it. But, I think we should do a whole conspiracy theory podcast episode.
You definitely could. I went to his office the other day just to drop off a flyer real quick. And we went through maybe 7 or 8 conspiracy theories.
Oh, you're gonna have to come back for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
Okay, because this is just like fun. Like, what else could we get into? Like, do we think it's real? Like, do we think it's not? You know?
By the end of it, I just said, listen, I just want Jane Goodall to run
Yeah.
the world. Okay, if we can just
Oh,
move forward with that. Jane Goodall, if you're watching.
I would love to think that was the case. I would love
Right?
to think that this podcast reaches so many people, but you know,
It does.
it reaches quite a few.
does.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, I've been going to events lately, and they're like, "Hey,"
Yeah,
I'm like,
girl.
"It's me."
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
fun. Yeah. Anyway,
Proud
well,
of
now
you.
I'll be famous because Pete Williams with Farmers Insurance is on. Yeah. Did you go to the Farmers Open?
Oh my
It's
God.
named after him. Of course he
Well, I
did.
know, but like, I need to hit you up for tickets next year.
Tomorrow.
It's
next
over.
year. Next year is the last year.
Why?
The Farmers is doing it.
Oh,
I think most
who's-
insurance companies want
Insurance-
to. They want to lay low. a
Yeah,
little
they
bit,
don't want to
like,
be flashy with
well,
their
who's
funds.
going to sponsor it now?
I don't know.
Lemonade.
I mean, Buick had it before. Lemonade. There we go. Yeah.
Okay, so did you download that app?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, I'm talking about Lemonade, the insurance.
Oh.
Like the
I
sub.
was talking about Lemon
terrible
8,
company.
the China TikTok replacement.
Oh.
We're on 2 different pages. I know. Wow. This is my 4th episode I've recorded today. I'm starting to go, guys. I'm starting to lose it. And I almost cried on the podcast. Like, I can't.
You're losing it.
I'm losing it.
Losing
what time
it.
is it? We need to see.
I was at the Farmers
4. We
Open,
gotta go.
And I caddied. I was carrying a 75-pound bag 7 days in a row, and it was a nightmare.
This year.
Backbreaker.
Yeah.
Who did
Just
you
last
caddy
week.
for?
An amateur that got in. He made the cut, unfortunately. No, I'm kidding. I'm glad he made the cut.
How did
but
he
I
do?
had to carry another 2 days. He finished like 50th or something.
Oh my God, are you still sore?
Oh my God. I
That
need like
sounds-
10 shoulder massages.
That
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
was-
Why did you sign up for that?
My brother kind of conned me into it.
Rude.
Oh,
Yeah.
those
But
brothers.
he didn't caddy?
No, he's in Auburn. So this kid is on the Auburn. This kid's on the Auburn golf team.
Okay,
and,
all right.
yeah.
It's coming full circle now. Got it. Okay, all right.
So anyway,
Well,
I won't do that again.
no, because you're like, fuck, he's good, and he actually made it all the way. Did you
Yeah,
meet
and I
any,
gotta
did you meet any
keep
good
walking.
golfers?
Yeah, we met a lot of good guys.
Any of them single?
Probably.
Hey.
We're going next year.
Yeah.
I'm taken, but I'll go be your wing woman.
I'm on the streets.
Okay.
She's on the streets.
Prow-
I
on
got
the
you there.
prowl.
I'm the best wing woman, though. I am. I really am. We
Okay,
got
this is good to know. Good
Yeah.
to know. Good to know.
That's why I brought her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's why we're always,
I like it.
Walking around
This
together.
is going to happen. This is the year. Anyway, I'm just putting it out there. Okay, before we end, because we normally play a game, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to end. So anyone who doesn't know, some people listening here in town will know you very well, but Pete is the GOAT when it comes to dad jokes. In fact, my brother could learn a little bit from you now that he has a baby. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So hit us with one dad joke, just one. He tells these at Reba, by the way, and sometimes there's 2 or 3 of them, and it's so good. So good.
I tell him I won't show up unless he does the dad joke.
You
right
haven't
off
done
the
this
bat.
in a while. You haven't pitched in a while.
Yeah, I did.
When?
Like 3 weeks ago.
The one day I,
I go
probably wasn't
once
there.
a month.
Christmas.
Once a month.
The one day I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I think I did my New Year's resolutions.
Oh.
I think
at-
I was
at
there
Reba,
for that.
yeah.
I think I was there for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you didn't have any. Just kidding.
I did.
I don't remember what you
I
said.
had 3.
What were
I'm
they?
gonna-
were
I'm gonna-
they?
Oh, I'm going to read more.
Okay.
So I put subtitles on my TV.
I do remember this now. Okay.
I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I only have 15 to go.
This is all coming back to me.
And I'm going to stop procrastinating. I'll probably
I'll do
start
that later.
next week. Yeah, exactly.
Yay!
I did bring one other one.
Ooh, tell me, hit us with it.
What's the leading cause of dry skin?
Leading cause.
Sometimes
of
people
skin.
guess these. Sometimes people like yell them out. I don't know. Schmooze them?
Does it rhyme with schmoozem?
I hit my my employees with this one just to see, like, I always
What they'll do.
I always try to get them thinking. Towels.
Oh my God.
And this is why I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at him. Yeah, so proud. He's like,
He
yeah,
is.
that was a good one. Right? That was a good one. Thank
loves
you
it.
so much. Thank you both for being
Yeah,
here.
of course.
This
Thank
was
you for
really good.
having
And it was
me.
good to like have the information out there, regardless of what you politically believe, whether you think it could have been prevented or not. We need to be there for each other. So let's lead with kindness. Please be there. LA, we love you. We're rallying for you. And if you need anything, please reach out. So with that. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Behind the Lockbox is produced and edited by Property Showcase Group. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. Thanks for your support. See you next week.